Hey there gamers, DreamcastGuy here, and today we're talking about the Final Fantasy VII Remake trilogy because people have been incredibly curious about how this is all going to end. The trilogy thus far has been incredibly good, but very, very expansive. The first game was giant, the second game, Rebirth, was actually 4 times bigger than the first part of Remake, and people are going, okay, how long is this going to take to finish? How much DLC is there going to be? How many changes to the story are there going to be? Well, the director of Rebirth has just done a deep dive interview, and it's kind of pissing off a lot of Final Fantasy fans. But I want to explain why, because even as good as these games are, some of his statements are very concerning, to say the least. Hi, hope you're having a great day, and if you could, please give this video a like and subscribe if you haven't already. It's so cold in my room, I actually can't feel my fingers, so please like the video. I'm going to try not to freeze to death. So let's talk about this to begin with. We're going to go through all of it bit by bit because there is a lot to cover, but I also want to talk about the blowback, where a lot of the most passionate Final Fantasy people are saying, oh God, don't do this. But let's start with this. So they anticipated the mixed reaction to the controversial ending, but wanted to avoid fan service. So perhaps one of the most known things, the biggest obvious thing about FF7 is the death of Aerith. One of the main characters is a very beloved flower girl who's very in tune with nature and magic and stuff like that, and she unfortunately dies. In the original game, it's completely mind-blowing. I mean, I'll never forget, as a kid, when Aerith died, I actually wept, like in real life. I had never experienced a character permanently dying in a video game. I mean, it was like mind-blowing. So the idea that they're trying to be kind of wishy-washy about it to avoid fan service, this to me just seems like such weird phrasing. Like, you're making a remake. I assume that to a normal person, sticking to the story isn't fan service. That's being faithful to the original. Now, the comments are, of course, making fun of this. I mean, if you think about it, it's kind of genius. The main question, basically, everybody had is, are they going to kill Aerith again? And they replied, I don't know. So the ending was very, very mixed. You couldn't really tell if she's dead or not, or if she's a ghost, or what actually happened. They're really trying to, like, lean into this idea of multiversal timelines and stuff, which feels a bit unneeded. Kind of Kingdom Heartsy in a way, but I still really enjoy it. It's just so different that at times you kind of go, okay, I'm sort of on board with this, but let's get into the part that has fans the most concerned. So the director Hamaguchi said he wants the third game to come out as quickly as possible. That's a big bonus. Now, this was already pretty known. Even before Rebirth, technically, they already said it pretty much immediately. Square Enix said they're hard at work. The story is complete. It's sketched out. It's scripted. There's even talks that they may be recording voice lines and stuff. Essentially, the next game is deep, deep, deep into full-blown development, not even pre-production. So thank God for that. They said they're looking to dig deeper into other stories. Oh my God. He wants to heed the call to spotlight other parts of the game's universe and look at different characters. Now, people are taking this to mean that this is not going to be a trilogy. Now, the reason this is getting met with a lot of ire, of anger, people saying, can we please not, please? People saying stuff like, okay, so it seems like we're going to get even more FF7 games. The chance of getting a mainline game from these developers, which are called Creative Business Unit 1, is now a 0. So when the FF7 games originally came out, we just had the first one, FF7. But then it just kept selling. It kept being so popular. Back in the day, every year, pretty much, you would get a new Final Fantasy. From 1 to 10, they were coming out back to back. You'd even get spin-offs like Chocobo Dungeon, or things like Final Fantasy Tactics, or the fighting game era guys. But when it came to 7, because it just kept selling, in the early 2000s, they started doing different weird experimental projects. A sequel movie called Advent Children, a prequel game called Crisis Core, another futuristic game called Dirge of Cerberus, and they combined it all together into what they call the compilation. So this trilogy of games, originally I kind of thought it would make nods to the compilation without completely remaking every single line, every single story beat. So The fact that they're kind of saying maybe we're going to do even more Final Fantasy games, more FF7 games beyond the trilogy, as a fan, as a person that's not only beaten all those games a bunch of times and really appreciates even the bad stuff and stuff like Dirge of Cerberus, I think I don't like the idea of them just getting stuck forever, just doing FF7 and nothing else. And a lot of people are talking about this because, look, man, this sounds like we're going to be getting more FF7 games after Remake Part 3, and it's hard to find the words to describe how much I do not want that. Let Creative Business Unit 1 make something new. So if you played Rebirth, it is fantastic. It is huge. It's got tons of side quests. It's got main stories. It's got some seriously heartbreaking beauty. It's got crazy graphics and fun combat and incredible depth and just so much. So a lot of people are saying, okay, let these people make FF17, right? Right now, we're getting these huge gaps between each Final Fantasy. It does feel like lately they've been trying to up the release of it. So now we're getting like a remaster, a sequel, and a mainline, right? So we'll get another part of the FF7 remake. There's rumors that we're going to be getting the FF9 remake perhaps next year. And people are going, okay, I want to see the people that made Rebirth specifically. These people are so talented. What would they do with the idea, with the scope of FF17? What would it become? What would it look like? What would the time period be? I want to see these people specifically take their own crack at it, right? It's disappointing to think that they are possibly going to get stuck in the FF7 universe forever, but let me continue here. Another quote that people are discussing is that they further confirmed that they are not doing any DLC episodes for Rebirth the way they did with the first game. The first game got a little extra piece called Intergrade, where you got to play this extra mission called Intermission, where you played as Yuffie. I really like Intermission, but people are essentially thinking this is very doom and gloom. I want to talk about what my theory for this is and what, maybe I'm being cope, maybe I'm being overly optimistic, but let me spitball something. So I really liked Final Fantasy 15. I think a lot of people did. I think it's got its haters, but FF15 and the whole boy band vibe and cruising around, the very beautiful ending of it. Final Fantasy 15 is an incredibly good game, and it just kept selling. So because of it, they ended up doing standalone DLC for each of the main characters. So they each had their own extra quests you could go on, and their own little extra adventures, and they're fantastic. Now, nobody's going to remember this now, but this is originally one of the things that kind of helped my channel blow up. I reviewed every piece of DLC from that game, including the Final Fantasy 15 multiplayer. Yes, they released multiplayer. I am kind of hoping that what we get after 7 is not just another full-blown game. I don't want to see 15 Final Fantasy VII games. I hope that what they do is they finish the trilogy, they package that together, and then we just see expansions. I want to see what they did with what, honestly, I thought it was really good. I want to see more stuff like FF15. Standalone chapters that are in the game, you buy them through the game, but are essentially extra explorations. Then we could do a Dirge of Cerberus DLC where we're playing as Vincent, or do a prequel DLC where we do some extra random stuff as Zack, or maybe an Advent Children one where we get to see some sort of extra stuff about Sephiroth in the live stream. I think that would be better than a bunch of back-to-back, full-blown, 5-year development cycle games set in the FF7 universe. Now, I'm sure some people are going to go, if you love 7 so much, wouldn't you want a bunch of games? I think I am just happy that they are sticking to the original vision as much as they have. Like, yeah, there's changes, yeah, there's vagaries, yeah, there's some tweaks to tone that I'm not exactly pleased with, but I'm kind of just excited again for fresh Final Fantasy, that next chapter that is going to be mind-blowing and better and different. I love 7, but I want more than just 7. The important thing for players is to wonder where the story is going and whether it will change or not. If it's the same as OG, there will be no anticipation or excitement. Veterans will know what's coming next, and that would be no fun, only nostalgic. Now, some people are talking about this quote as well because it's essentially, is this a red herring? Is this a distraction? Are they basically saying, oh, look, we might change the story, we might not, who knows? This is just marketing bait. It is just them trying to say, oh, what's going to actually happen? Maybe we'll revive Aerith. Now, to be clear, I think the story is going to end in the exact same place. I still think we're going to fight Sephiroth. I still think they're going to see Meteor. I think they're going to do pretty much as best as possible. They're going to stick to the original story, like with additions and tweaks, but I still think it's going to end in the exact same way, maybe with some multiversal flourishes, but I think this is still the same package, even if the coat of paint is slightly different. I wanted to ramble about this because FF7 is my favorite game of all time, and I am enjoying the remake trilogy. I am definitely in the camp, though, where I don't want 10 FF7 games. I just don't want it. Even as a person that loves it, please let these people do something else. But that's just my thoughts. Thank you for watching this video. If you could, please give this video a like, subscribe if you haven't already, and please keep dreaming. Oh, here, for the people that watched all the way to the end of the video, look at this. Look at my kitty. My kitty fell asleep in my arms and started snoring. Look at this good baby. Oh my God. I love my cat so much. This is Jack. Jack's a little tuxedo, and he is adorable. Get a tuxedo cat or a black cat. Black cats, I have a theory. Every black cat is the nicest cat in the universe. I've had a couple black cats, primo perfecto cats. Thanks so much for watching that video. If you want to see something else, you can always click this link to see what I put up last, or, subscribe and see what's coming up next. Also, I promise that whatever I do, it'll try not to suck.